Hello Bookish friends, welcome to my April wrap-up part 1. In this video I will talk about the 5 books that I finished in the first half of April, and like I did in my previous wrap-ups, I will insert the clips that I've recorded quite soon after I finish those works. Today is the 2nd of April, and I finished the book that I picked in my series cup in my March TBR video, which is a historical romance book, The Fire Inside by Cat Martin. In this book, Cassandra Kit Wentworth was no ordinary woman, headstrong and rebellious. This daughter of a viscount had no intention of obeying her father, submitting to a husband, or to fall in love. But she never thought a man like Clayton Harcourt would pursue her. As the bastard son of a wealthy duke, Clay was no stranger to scandal. Taking a wife was not his plan also, but Kit's wild spirit drew him like a flame in the darkness, and the gossip swirling around her awakened a desire to tame and protect her. As you can guess from the synopsis of the book, this was a historical romance with quite sexy and intimate scenes. Although I did not specifically search for such scenes in romance books, I'm not uncomfortable reading them when there is a quite emotional bond between the couple. This couple had a quite emotional relationship. I loved both the male and the female lead. They were very, very sympathetic. On the other hand, maybe because I liked them so much, I was very, very annoyed with them in different parts of the book. They both acted like a fool, but of course that was the main conflict of the book, because their love for each other was actually quite strong. It was such a long time ago that I read the first book, but I remembered really enjoying the writing style and finding it quite engaging. It was the same for this book, but I have to say this book could have been shorter by 75 or even 100 pages. But it was still a very, very decent historical romance, and I gave The Fire Inside by Cat Martin a 7 out of 10. Today is the 6th of April, and I finished the audiobook that I was listening for I think 5 days. 9 Lives by Peter Swanson. In this book, 9 strangers receive a list with their names on it on the mail. None of the 9 people know or have even met the others on the list. They first dismiss it as a junk mail until very, very bad things begin happening to people on the list. First, a well-liked old man is drowned on a beach in the small town of Kennewick, Maine. Then a father is shot in the back while running through his quiet neighborhood in suburban Massachusetts. A frightening pattern is emerging, but what do these 9 people have in common? FBI agent Jessica Winslow, who's also on the list herself, is determined to find out. Could there be some dark secret that binds them all together? I added this book to my TBR because I know it was an Agatha Christie inspired book. I found this book to be very, very engaging, although it somehow resembles And Then There Were None. The mystery and the structuring of the mystery was, I think, very, very clever. I also quite liked the writing style of Swanson. I will certainly read more books from him. The minor thing that annoyed me was the fact that with the exception of 3 characters, I thought the characters on the list were not quite fleshed out. But still, I was very, very into the mystery and who the killer was. So overall, I gave 9 Lives by Peter Swanson an 8 out of 10. Today is the 8th of April, and I finished the book that I was buddy reading with Amy at Zobeck, the 3rd book in Gilded Age Heiresses series, The Lady Tempts and Heir. This book follows the brother of the 2 sisters of the previous books, American Maxwell Crenshaw. Maxwell is not very fond of London society. However, when his father has a stroke, he comes back to England and reunites with Lady Helena March. He is very much attracted to her. However, because his life is in America, he never acted on his temptation previously. And Helena, on the other hand, as a young widow, spends her time and energy into the London home for young women. But the society refuses to give any money to unmarried radicals who associate with illegitimate children and fallen women. When Maxwell receives an ultimatum from his father to marry and continue their legacy, he proposes a fake engagement to Helena, which would also benefit her since he would support on her cause. As the book progresses, their attraction takes the forefront and they cannot deny their feelings. I really liked the previous two books in this series. Although I also gave this book an 8 out of 10, I think I liked the plot of this book the best. The couple had quite realistic problems, which would make sense to keep them apart. Unlike the previous romance book that I read this month, the couple did not act like fools and tried to find a solution to their problems most of the time. The attraction between the couple was quite good. I really admired Helena and her bravery. This series continues to be the highlight of my romance reading. Like I said before, I gave The Lady Tempts and Heir by Harper St. George an 8 out of 10. It is the 9th of April and I finished reading a book that was on my list of Turkish shelf books to read. Nişan by Çiler İlhan. This novella was also translated to English as Engagement. The book is based on the true story of May 2009 massacre of over 40 people, including women, children and infants, in a village in a southern province of Mardin, Turkey. This book starts with the preparations of an engagement ceremony as well as a dinner for celebration in a large home in the village. And these preparations are told from the point of view mostly from Halil, the cousin of the future bride, the sister of the bride, Maral, Leyla, the future bride, Leyla's mother, and many characters who unfortunately became the part of this tragedy. I really liked a sentence in the Goodreads description. Geographical complexities, tangled relations, hazy memories, and unreliable witnesses make for a story in which perhaps nothing is as it seems. A massacre of more than 40 people in an engagement party is horrific. I remember reading about this incident in newspapers. However, I did not know many of the details, and as I read the details from this fictional narration, I was quite horrified at how bad blood between even relatives can lead to the elimination of lives. I had quite mixed feelings about the writing style. The description of the environment and the atmosphere of the day, including the weather, is told quite well. However, maybe intentionally, I had trouble connecting with any of the characters. The storytelling felt distant from all of the characters. In order not to make it sort of like a pity party, focusing on the very important social issue. This was a quite powerful read, and I will certainly make a individual Turkish shelf video about this book. I gave Nişan Engagement by Çiler İlhan a 7 out of 10. Today is the 14th of April and I finished the ebook that I was reading for peopleapril, which was Dear Fahrenheit 451, a librarian's love letters and breakup notes to her books by Spence. This book was recommended by Laurie at Books in Camp Paper in one of her videos, and I thought that it would be a very interesting book. I really liked the Goodreads synopsis of this book, so I will read that. Have you ever wished you could tell your favorite books just what they mean to you, or wanted to give a piece of your mind to the must-read book that you wish you hadn't? Librarian Spence has done just that, writing letters to the books under her care, from love letters to Matilda and Goldfinch, to snarky breakup notes to 50 Shades of Grey and The Hobbit. The last third of the book gives recommendations to lazy readers, excuses to tell your friends when you'd rather stay home reading, and how to turn your lover into a reader. This book was very interesting, like I initially thought that it would be. Letters, especially in the first third of the book, were very good and quite funny and witty. If you do not mind foul language, some of her snarks are also quite delightful to read. I especially loved the section in which she describes her feelings to Miss Marple's series by Agatha Christie. However, although I also took some notes from her recommendations in the last third, I thought that it really diminished the overall theme of the book. So maybe a separate, shorter work containing all her recommendations could be much more suitable. But overall, I'm very glad that I read this book. I thought writing letters to books and explain how we feel about them and what we were thinking when we read them is quite a genius idea. So that's why I gave Dear Fahrenheit 454 by Anne Spence an 8 out of 10. So those were the 5 books that I finished in the first half of April. Please comment down below. Did you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, and what did you think of them? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose breakup. Breakup means ayrılık in Turkish, and ayrılık is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.